Well, you can make any day the greatest day. Just visualize peace when you play this. I'm not saying my whole life's a
Welcome
meditative
to the
state, but I was calm,
Wrestling.Life
cool,
podcast.
collect when I
I've
lay
got ex-Boise State, ex-Cal State Bakersfield, and current Northeastern Junior College coach Mike Mendoza on the phone today. What's up, Coach Mendoza? Can you tell me a little bit about what you've got going on out at Northeastern Junior College in Colorado?
Yeah, it's the second year of this program. So actually this program was here in the 50s, 60s, and into the 70s, and then there was a 37-year hiatus, and then they brought it back just 2 years ago. So this is the second year of the program, but it's got great history to it. I mean, they won 3 national titles in junior college, team titles, and there's some national champs that come through here and All-Americans. So a lot of history, and a lot of those guys are actually still around and alive and in the region here. So there's a lot of support. That's probably why the program got brought back. There's some wrestlers that still care about this program, and then to boot, we got a president here of the college that wrestled. So you add those two things together, and the program comes back.
Man, is that something that brought you there? Were you attracted to it because it was a program that was recently brought back?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. The neat thing, the AD here, Marcy Henry's awesome. She's, she kind of sent a perfect little email to me after the program got dropped at Boise State, and it wasn't too much. It was just, right amount of time to wait, and kind of a perfect little email. And and the thing that for me, I've been in Colorado before. It's where I started my coaching career. So coming back here, was appealing for that fact. And my wife's family lives about 3 hours south of here. And then of course, you added to that, the president of this college wrestled, and obviously it took a pretty big amount of support to get the program brought back. So yeah, I mean, it was a combination of things, but certainly them starting this program and the energy behind it from the community, and it's a small community, but just the energy and support for wrestling to bring it back was, one of the things that was really appealing to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome they had kind of the wherewithal to pick a guy with that has your background and is your caliber of a coach at a program like that, kind of turning a negative into a positive, it sounds like.
Yeah, and one of the guys that is pretty big in wrestling and is actually Northeastern grad, is a kind of a big refs out in the Cliff Keen. He's kind of one of the lead refs out there, and he's got a good relationship with this college. And when they dropped the program, he kind of reached out to the president, to the AD, and said, hey, there's a guy who the program just got dropped on him, maybe worth giving a phone call, because it was just right around that time or right before they had let go of the coach here. So kind of what spurred it all.
And so you were at Adams State. Was that your first college coaching job?
That was. I was a graduate assistant out there. Went out there right after I graduated from Cal State Bakersfield, and went out there with another guy that wrestled at Cal State Bakersfield, a teammate of mine. So he became the head coach and lured me out here.
So did you meet your wife at Adams?
I did. She was a track athlete out there, and met her, and she was actually a graduate assistant coach out there for the track program, and that's where I met her. And I was also what kind of weighed into it. Obviously I pulled her from Colorado, where her family lives, out to Bakersfield, where I was coaching, and was out there for 14 years. And then, when the Boise State job opened up, and took that job, and at that time she had actually had her twin sister was living out in Bakersfield. I moved out there just really 4 years before we moved out to Boise. So kind of pulled her away from her family a couple times in a row for, me and my career and coaching career. And so obviously with this next one, took that into consideration when I realized, next coaching opportunity, moving actually back to Colorado near her parents. And obviously I've got a couple kids that are 6 and 8. And so, just looking for something that's stable and, take my family into consideration a little bit more on this next move. So, but yeah, kind of, a lot of things that kind of went into consideration again for being where I'm at.
Yeah, that sounds like a real good fit. I know when wrestling programs get dropped, especially in the way that Boise got dropped, it creates a sting throughout the whole community. I saw a couple of the early interviews that you had done. I think one was on Flow, and the class in which you handled yourself was pretty amazing. But one of the things that stuck with me was, you said basically at that time, look, this is a big thing. I need some time to process, which makes total sense. Now that you've moved on to your next job, and it sounds like, things really fell in line in a lot of different areas. Have you had time to process the Boise State dropping the program and all of the administrative and political things that have come out around it? And, what are your thoughts on the whole thing now that you're kind of sitting outside of it and it's in your past?
Yeah, well, I'll say this. There's definitely a lot to process, and, and some of it's not worth processing because, you can go through a range of emotions when something like that happens, and it can make you crazy. So, but I'll say this, it's unfortunate when programs get dropped because it affects so many people, and especially not just the people that wrestled at Boise State, or not just the coaching staff or the guys that were, had to find a place to transfer to, but, or even the alums, but you're talking about all the other wrestling programs that it affects. And, for whatever reason, administrators may look at a program and say, well, when they have to make a tough decision, well, they drop wrestling at that school, and it just becomes maybe, a target because of somebody else's, decision to do that, whether it's poor or not poor or just corrupt or, it's sickening, and a lot of times there's this, this thought that wrestling's a dying sport, when that's the furthest thing from the truth. There's just not enough college opportunities for high school wrestlers to pursue, their career at the collegiate level. And so, it's a murdered sport. It's a sport that gets, for whatever reason, gets murdered, and for different reasons at different institutions, and sometimes it's just bogus, and other times, unfortunately, sometimes they just have to make tough decisions, but it's unfortunate because it's at the expense of a sport that really deserves opportunities. And so, that's just one piece of it. It's unfortunate when any college program gets dropped, and so it's one thing that I think about how much this impacted so many different people that were, again, alums, supporters, past wrestlers, the current wrestlers that were on that team, but also just wrestling across the country. That's one thing that I look back, and it just, I see the big impact that it has when you drop a program.
Yeah, I was hoping to ask you what you thought about that quote. I'm not sure, but that was a Bob Custra quote. I read it out of the Statesman, where he talked about wrestling was a dying sport at the D1 level, and it sounds like that one stuck out in my mind. But I don't know if that's what you're referencing right now, talking about wrestling being a dying sport. But that one stung. It was like, cut the program, but at least be a little more gracious in the community that's involved in this sport, because it's almost sounded like he was trying to create a movement with it. It's problematic.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, when people make decisions, that they'll try and validate them by saying things, whether they're true or not true, and it doesn't, you know, they just try and make whatever decision they make, you know, to you know, make sense, you know, for lack of terms, you know, they just try and validate it with things that necessarily aren't true.
Tough truth of some of these decisions is people have to find ways to justify them, and you know, it's unfortunate that they don't often acknowledge the people that they do affect. In your new position at Northeastern, is any of your staff from Boise State moving over there with you?
No, so I had an assistant coach that was here, and a week after I got here, he had took another opportunity at another university a little closer to home. And yeah, I just kind of recently went through the process of getting an assistant coach, and I've got one, a guy that wrestled for me at Bakersfield. Adam Fierro is going to be my assistant coach, and he'll be out here this next week. So, I mean, I feel real fortunate to have a high caliber, you know, top D1 wrestler out here as an assistant coach. So feel really good about that. And yeah, unfortunately, just the timing of this transition, I wasn't able to bring any, you know, of my staff from Boise State here.
How long did you guys spend at Boise before they dropped it?
So we were just there 1 year. So yeah, we obviously left. You know, he was in Bakersfield for, you know, 10 years, and I was there for 14 years coaching, but he was there as an athlete for 5 and coaching for 5. And so, you know, that was kind of our home. And yeah, we uprooted and went to our next opportunity where we thought we were moving to, you know, a really secure situation. And, you know, obviously, you know, it wasn't. But yeah, and it's sad because a guy like, you know, Riley Orozco, he's a great coach. I mean, he's affected a lot of guys in the right way. He's the kind of coach that you want. You know, it's the reason why I, you know, really wanted him to be at Boise State with me, because he's one of those guys that, you know, as a coach, you've got a job to do. It's not just coaching technique in that wrestling room, but it's connecting with guys. It's helping them develop their character. And, you know, he was a high character coach that, you know, helped guys grow in that way. And it's sad when a guy like him, you know, is no longer in that position where he's, you know, where we're recruiting 18-year-old guys and bringing them into a program and obviously helping them advance their wrestling at the collegiate level and their academic careers at the collegiate level. And, you know, it's really a time where, you know, guys are becoming men and starting to, you know, really, I won't say figure out who they are, but develop into who they're going to be. And so a guy like that was great at that is, you know, now, you know, maybe going to be moving in a different line of field where he's not going to affect, you know, great kids and helping kids become, you know, men and very productive people and the right kind of people that, you know, you want in your community or wherever you're at, affecting, you know, the next kids. So it definitely sad. And I hope that he finds it, you know, another opportunity and something opens up for him, because he deserves to be coaching at the collegiate level and helping kids.
Yeah, it's well put. I hope he does too. I hope he sticks with the sport. With Northeastern, do you have a situation there where you're recruiting in kids from outside the state?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are actually from out of state on our roster. I mean, we got a couple kids from Florida, one from Montana, kids from, you know, obviously kids in Colorado. But yeah, kids from Texas. So we got kids from all over, and, you know, I'm new to, you know, this area. I mean, I've been in Colorado for quite a few years. I know Colorado has improved a lot at the high school level. There's a lot of college programs here. And there's 10 college programs, some D2 and some couple D1 programs. So, you know, we'll be figuring out with, where to recruit. Obviously, I want to recruit, from this region in Colorado first, but also, we'll be recruiting some out-of-state guys as well. But definitely there's a variety of guys right now on our team from different states, which, is, just maybe it was a little bit surprising for me, really thinking, that the junior college might be, recruiting guys from, the connected states, but it goes further than that. And so, which is good. You get guys from different areas, and really recruiting's recruiting. You just want to bring in guys that are going to, fit in with the program, and guys that want to, wrestle in college and get their degree. And for me, it's going to be a little bit different now because, I'm doing the same thing. I'm coaching in college, but it's helping these guys get to their next college program. So it's a little twist to recruiting guys now.
Can you elaborate a little bit on fit in the program? I know you're still pretty new at Northeastern, but what does fitting into Northeastern look like for a kid coming out of high school?
Well, I think when just for recruiting anywhere at every college, for me, fitting in is fitting in with this program. When you're wrestling at a college, there's a culture there with every program, and you have a group of guys that are a family. And obviously, as a coach, your job is to get these guys to maximize their potential in both their athletic career and their academic career. And so, fitting in is fitting in with the culture that is set. And I want guys that are high character guys and that are committed to that. And I don't know really how much that exists at all the college, or how much a priority that is for some coaches. And I'm not, saying that it doesn't exist at other places. It does. But for me, it's a priority, like a big priority. And I let recruits know that right away. And if that's what they're looking for, a high character program with a coach, it's going to kind of demand that. And it's going to push them, to get the grades, the best grades they can, where there's study hall, and they're going to get pushed in the wrestling room where it's going to be demanding, where they're going to reach their the peak of their of what they can in wrestling, and that's that's the right fit. And of course, you almost think that that's automatic at all colleges, but every coach does it a little bit differently in different ways, and so that's kind of a long answer to what I mean fitting in. But there's that, and then of course you're fitting into a community as well, and the college community. So that's definitely a part of it. But I think the primary thing for recruits, and I tell this to recruits all the time, you got to find the right fit for you. And that's why they take visits. That's why you take a recruiting visit. You get to that campus and you meet the guys on the team, and you can get a sense of, those guys on the team, if you're going to fit in, and you get to meet the coaches, and you get to see if you fit in, and you get to take a tour of the college, and you see if that's kind of what you're looking for, and you get a little bit of the, experience of the community, and you see if that's the right kind of fit for you. And every college campus is going to be different. There's going to be some that are real similar in a lot of ways, but they're going to be unique as well. And so, big thing for me is making sure that kids get, go to a place where it's the right fit.
My picture of a junior college is very much skewed by my location. I'm a California guy. I've been in the Bay Area for a long time. But as I've coached, I've realized that junior colleges are drastically different throughout the country. Is Northeastern, is that a place that has dorms, and what are the athletic facilities looking like? I know where I'm at, there's not a single junior college has any on-campus housing at all. And the athletics is kind of almost a secondary thing where I'm at. But it sounds like they've got, supportive administration. Does that correlate with, good athletic facilities, residential options, and all the things that go with kind of that college experience?
Yeah, so here it's there are dorms here, so it is you're going to get the experience of that you would at a big college, a 4-year college, because you're right, some junior colleges, community colleges don't have dorms. They're more of a commuter campus, where you have dorms here, and there is a priority with athletics here, and that's why they've added a couple programs in the past couple years. And it's funny you say that. I kind of I don't have a lot of experience with being on junior college campuses or community college campuses, but coming here for the first time, I wasn't sure what I was going to see, and I was envisioning walking into just maybe some gym or some room where they had some mats rolled up, where maybe it was a multi-purpose room or multi-use room. Maybe they had classes in there or dance in there, or they would be rolled in a corner of a gym or some loft of the gym or something. But, I came here and there's actually a designated wrestling room, and it's a good size, and there's a huge office that's right next to it where the coach's offices are. So I was impressed. And, and they're still continuing to make upgrades to our wrestling room and our wrestling office, and there's a nice big event center where we wrestle our duels, and actually pretty impressed with the facilities here.
Do you foresee yourself using, once you get settled in there, obviously, do you foresee yourself using some of your California connections to try to, entice some kids to go out that direction?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one thing that's unique about I'd say different is, in California you have, the community college out there, but it's a different season. It's August to December, and it's a state championship, whereas, this is a national championship. So it's different in that. And, obviously there's tons of talent in California, and there's, even with all the community colleges out there and the 4 years, colleges out there, there's still a lot of California talent that needs a place to wrestle. And so definitely want to get some California kids out to Northeastern Junior College, where they can experience a junior college out of state in Colorado, and maybe that they're looking more for competing at the National Junior College tournament, and so it's definitely a huge interest in me is to get some California kids out here.
Coach Mendoza, thank you for your time. We appreciate you coming on the Wrestling.Life podcast. You have a good night.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you for listening to Wrestling is Life podcast. Check us out next time. We'll be talking to the wrestling coach, Jeff Marsh.